You're tuned into Balanced Life. Your Balanced Life podcast with Dr. Chris Byles, a space for people who want more energy, better recovery, calmer days, and long-term health without the hype or confusion. Here, we talk about nutrition, fitness, stress, habits, hormones, and everyday wellness in a way that feels practical, supportive, and real-life focused. Because supplements aren't the goal, your lifestyle, your strength, and your well-being are. This is about intentional health and a life lived in balance. Welcome to a balanced life. Welcome to a balanced life.
What's going on, everybody? Dr. Chris Byles back in the house here, and welcome back to another Balanced Life podcast. You know me, Dr. Chris Byles. I'm your host, here to take you on this journey of health and wellness, and I hope you're all doing well. All right, it's been a week since we last talked to each other, and I want to quickly apologize about if you're watching the podcast on YouTube. There was a little martial arts action happening with my voice. I don't know what's going on. The software I'm using was tripping for whatever reason. So you did get a little delay in my lips and my voice. So for those of you guys out there who like martial arts movies, you're welcome. All right. That was not my intention. But hey, we're here today. Hopefully we got this figured out. And we're going to get right into this topic. All right. So I'm going to ask you a quick question. And I'm going to kind of segue into what we're going to be talking about today. All right. So I want you to ask yourself this question. If you exercise 30 minutes a day, let's say you exercise 30 minutes a day. That's more a recommendation of the American Heart Association. So 30 minutes a day, you're working out. Okay. But you sit 8 to 10 hours a day. Are we healthy? Does that make you healthy? Is that actually healthy? All right. So we're going to talk about something called what's known in today's society as the sitting disease, or it's been relayed as sitting being the new smoking. If you've never heard of that, I'm going to break that down today. But is it true? And most importantly, what do we do about it? Okay. So we're all about solutions on this program. We're all about giving you solutions, about giving you certain things to do to kind of fix anything that you have going on within your body. All right. So if you were here, turned in last week again with the martial arts voice thing going on. If you turned in last week, we talked about the nervous system, and it is basically running your life. And today we're going to talk about how your chair might be quietly sabotaging it. Okay. So let's unpack this. Now, before we begin, like I do every single week, this information is for educational purposes only. No means does it constitute any type of medical device. If you have any type of medical issues whatsoever, please, I beg of you, go see your medical provider immediately. And go do that. All right. But again, this here is all about education. All right, let's get into it. So you've heard it saying. If you haven't heard it saying, it's out there. Sitting is the new smoking. And honestly, it's not literally the same as smoking, but the comparison exists, right? It exists because why? Number one, prolonged sitting increases risk of cardiovascular disease. So if you're not doing anything, you are in risk of cardiovascular disease. Think about this real quick. You might already know where I come from on a biblical standpoint, where I am as far as my religious beliefs goes. You don't have to believe me whatsoever, but we were not what do you call it? What's the Big Bang theory here? Whatever you believe, we weren't designed or made to sit all day long. Okay. Wasn't supposed to happen. Okay. Prolonged sitting does increase cardiovascular disease. We were made to move. Why? Because it increases insulin resistance. It raises risk of type 2 diabetes. For my people out there that have type 2 diabetes, please, 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 you might want to hear this. You might want to listen to this podcast, because we want to try and go backwards and erase some of the things that we've created and put into our we've created on our own self, right? Like I said before, many episodes ago, If you go back 30, 40, 50 years ago, our body frames was a lot different. We didn't have all these different diseases. Heart disease was not as high of a killer as it once was. Diabetes, all those as it is now. I'm sorry, diabetes wasn't as high as it is now. All these different diseases that we have now, or the pinnacle of where we're at right now, wasn't like this 30, 40, 50 years ago. Over the years, we've decreased movement. We've decreased we've increased the amount of sitting we're doing. We've decreased our health overall. So there is something going on. There's lots of things going on, but there's many different things that we need to that's what I'm trying to get us to see, is that as we dig deeper into this health and our body and our longevity, it's not just one thing, it's multiple things, right? You can eat well, but not exercise. That's a problem. You can exercise and not eat well. That could be a problem, right? There are certain things that our body needs, right? And movement is one of them, okay? So we're raising insulin resistance. We're raising the risk of type 2 diabetes, right? It's associated with certain types of cancers. And the top one above all, on top of all this, right, the icing on the cake, right, is it increases all causes of mortality. So even if you exercise, right, I used to have a job where I stood all day long. Now, currently, my current job is I sit more than I would like to. So I made it a point within my day to stand for the first couple hours as soon as I get to work, right? I stand, I sit, I get up, I move around, I walk around, I go outside, I do things, I get my work done, but I make sure that I'm constantly moving as much as I possibly can, okay? Now, this may shock many of you, but research shows that someone who works out but sits all day long still carries elevated risks compared to someone who moves consistently throughout the day. That's research. Research is showing us that even if you work out, but you sit the majority of your day, you're increasing your risk of different diseases, okay? That's not even talk about mobility issues, hip issues because your butt and your glutes are underactive, right? These are things that are also part of it, but we'll talk about that a little bit later, okay? So your body was designed, and like I just mentioned, your body was designed for frequent low-level movements, not two extremes, right? We don't want to be completely still all day. And nor do we want to have intense gym sessions at night. So you sit all day, I got to go have an intense gym session at night. Because look, if you're working at an office, right, and you're working and you're sitting for 8 to 10 hours throughout the day, but you have an intense gym session, how long is that intense gym session really going to last? 5 hours? I hope not. Right? Although I do know people that will be in the gym for 3 hours or so, which boggles my mind. But if you're sitting for 8 to 10 hours a day, right, and probably even longer than that, depending on when you think about your commute time to work, sitting at your desk, lunchtime, commuting back home, depending on how far you work right now, and you go an intense gym session at night, it's still not going to. There's still a problem. There's a gap somewhere. Okay, we have to make sure that we are trying to be as balanced as much as possible. Okay, so understand this: the part that regardless of what you believe in, how you think the world came to be, what have you, we do know scientifically that the human metabolism is not built for stillness. It's not. It's meant to move, right? That's why you go look at the extreme situations of maybe marathon runners, right? Especially if they're competitive or they're at a high level, the more they move, you see them. You're not seeing any overweight, broken down, unless they have injuries. Marathon runners, you're not seeing any overweight, Divers. You're not seeing overweight track athletes, even from sprinters to distance runners. You're not seeing these things, right? Because they're constantly moving, and their metabolism is helping their body maintain the exercise that they're constantly doing. Now, I will say this: extreme levels of movement is not good for the body, right? There is such a thing as balance. Right, there is such a thing as that, right? We don't want to be too far extreme over here of being over excess athlete or whatever, ultra marathoner or what have you. We don't want to be way over here of somebody that's a lifetime sitter that don't want to get out the chair, that don't want to move. Okay, the human metabolism is not built for stillness. Now we're only talking about sitting for today. The human metabolism is not built for stillness. It's meant for movement. Okay, so let's look at this. The physiological aspect of what sitting actually does to your body. All right. Now, let's look at your muscles. When you sit for long periods, number one, your glutes shut down. Right. There's I don't even know. I can't even think of the name of it right now. But if you in podcast land, right, internet land, if you know the name of this, put it down here. But I can't think of it right now, off the top of my head. But the glutes shut down, right? People have named it where you have underactive glutes. The glutes are just, flat as can be, right? There are men out there that have come on. You can probably find them on YouTube, what have you. They talked about how flat their butt was because of how much sitting they're doing, right? Yes, you can grow your booty a little bit. Don't be like not to the extreme as some of these gym girlies are doing. Sorry, gym girlies, but still, the amount of movement that you're doing or lack of movement can also be a result of your glutes active or not. Okay. Your core disengages. Think about it. I'm sitting right now, right? It's not a good example, but I'm sitting right now. And as I was just doing, I thought about it as I brought to this point, I got a little taller. So even with this, me sitting here talking to you right now, my core is not as active or as engaged as it would be if I was moving around or standing, right? Or walking. Right? Your core is responsible for every little thing, right? It's responsible for protecting your spine. It's responsible for turning, twisting, moving, walking throughout the day. It is responsible for a whole lot, right? It's also, like I said, it helps protect the spine. So if it's not engaged properly, then we got problems. Right, and we can cause injuries by not engaging the core. Okay, you're also going to have tight hip flexors. Well, think about it. For those of you who know what hip flexors are, it's in front of your hips right here, right? You got your quads, the front of your thigh, and then right in the hip right here. That's your hip flexor. It's seated. It's tight. It's not stretched out. It's in a contracted position the entire time right now. Right. Well, you got tight hip flexors. Okay. We don't want tight hip flexors. All right. And then lastly, some of the things that happens, like I said, your muscles go offline, your circulation, this changes posture and spinal alignment. Okay. Our spine is supposed to have a little bit of curvature to it. It's supposed to have this, right? It's going to have that, this, and a third. If you guys know, okay, go look it up. But it changes your posture. We're supposed to sit nice and strong and tall, right? This supposed to have a little bit of curvature in our spine. The alignment, right? This, believe it or not, I'm compressing my spine in this position, right? So it's changing your alignment of your spine by sitting for long periods of time. That's why when you get up, your back might be aching. Sorry, I had to do it. But anyway, you're experiencing certain things from sitting in this position for a long period of time. Okay. Now let's look at the circulation. Our circulation slows down, right? Did you know that? Your circulation slows down. Okay. Blood pools into the lower body, right? Venous returns decreases. So it's not movement, it's a venous return. So you just into blood pulls into your lower body. The veins, the return's not as strong as it would be as if you're moving around. So it decreases. The endothelial function declines. That all affects your heart. So movement. That's why certain things like blood clots happen for people that are, or bed sores, or happen to people that sit all day long, or bedridden. Okay, it's really not a good place that we want to be in. Okay, next. Sorry, if I'm moving fast, I'm sorry. You can pause this and go back to this, but I want to give you the brief breakdown because I don't have all day to be here with you, right? I want to give you the brief breakdown of what's going on in our body from the amount of sitting that we're doing. Now, the next part is looking at metabolic enzymes dropping. So your metabolic enzymes are dropping. So there's a thing called lipoprotein lipase. This enzyme that helps break down fat. There's an enzyme that helps break down fat, right? This decreases significantly during prolonged sitting. So if you're trying to lose weight and you're sitting for a long period of time, your fat breakdown significantly decreases from prolonged sitting. If you don't get anything else about what I'm saying, for those of you out here for trying to lose weight, for those of you out here trying to get healthy, right? I had a hair on my eye. The sitting is not going to help you. The amount of sitting that we're doing is not helping. Okay. So translation, what does this mean? Your body becomes less efficient at processing fat and glucose. Okay. I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. It's the same thing with not getting enough sleep, right? We talked about that for a brief amount of time. Not getting enough sleep is also going to contribute to type 2 diabetes, being overweight, right? Because you're raising cortisol levels, you're never getting to that proper REM sleep. It's problematic. It's metabolic. Okay, so we want to, and it's interesting how things are, right? Life is. I understand life's. I get it. Sometimes when life is not meant for you to be healthy, and I hate to say it like that, but let's be realistic. Let's be honest. Life can mess you up, right? Especially if you're constantly busy, working multiple jobs, especially with the way finances are nowadays. You're not getting enough sleep, right? You're sitting too much, depending on what type of job you're doing. My guys out there that's working in the, and you guys have it really hard, but the guys that's truck drivers that are constantly sitting and they're driving over the road. Right, that's a lot of sitting to be doing. Have you ever got into a car? For those of you normal us that are drivers, right? I don't mean normal people in a bad way, but those who are civilians to truck driving, right? Have you ever been on a long road trip? Right, and so I feel for you guys who are truck drivers that are subject to long roads, going back and forth. Transporting goods, all that type of stuff, because we're not meant to sit that long, and so it's doing damage, unfortunately, that's not impossible to reverse, but again, as we get older, you guys see my gray hair. I'll tell you how old I am. It gets harder and harder the older we get, so we don't want to sit down as much as that, right? So the body becomes less efficient at processing fats and glucose. A couple weeks ago, I did mention, if you've never seen it, I don't even know if it's on Netflix anymore, but it's a podcast. A documentary out there called The Blue Zone. All right, I think it's called The Blue Zone, but The Blue Zone's in the title. Okay, and as I mentioned before, this guy goes around, he's checking to see all these different areas where people are actually living over 100 years old, and there is some stuff in there that if you really look at the pattern, you'll see the correlations. Every single one of the people, elderly people, aged people, right? The blue zone people that was over 100, they all exercised. They didn't sit down as much. They walked and they ate healthy. So those are three things that it was really important. And I think that we can learn from them what is necessary to live a long, healthy life. That's just my opinion. Again, this is for educational purposes only. Okay. So what's next? So now we talk about the body not efficiently processing fats, right? So now you have something that's going to happen with the Your body not being able to efficiently process fats and glucose, insulin sensitivity drops. The more time you sit, the more your body struggles with glucose regulation. That's a metabolic problem. Okay. Everybody talks about metabolism, this, that, and the third, but the metabolic problem is going to be a result from prolonged sitting. Now, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm not saying you got to go out tomorrow and get another job, but we're going to break down and come talk about what would be necessary, will be not necessary, but would be idea to kind of like reverse these things. Okay. Your nervous system is stiffens. Okay. We talked about the nervous system last week, about how it's running your life. The nervous system stiffens, right? When you don't move, your nervous system shifts towards rigidity. Okay. Movement is regulatory, right? Stillness for too long is dysregulating. I just gave you example. What happens when you're sitting a long time for a road trip, right? Even if you drive 2 hours a day, get up and get out the car. When you get out the car, what are you going to do? You're going to be trying to stretch. You're going to, it's rough. It's rough. Now, currently, I can honestly say this. I am currently in a stage of my life because my family and I are about to go to get through a little move. The new job I have right now has me traveling, and I'm doing 2 hours a day. Well, no, 4 hours a day, 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening when I come home from work. And that's why I have to make sure I'm moving around as much as I am throughout the day. I stand for at least 2 hours when I first get to work. I make it a point to walk around my building, right? I make it a point to not be able to sit. I wake up earlier before I go drive to work and I work out. Now I'm in the gym for 45 minutes to an hour, maybe an hour 15 at the max. But I'm trying to counteract a lot of that as much as I possibly can. Right. I'm trying to counteract a lot of that, honestly. Okay. So we want to make sure that sitting does not affect our body, right? Now, it doesn't just affect our body, and we should be able to understand that as well. It doesn't just affect our bodies, it affects our mentality as well, right? Right? There's an emotional and mental side to this as well. It affects your mood, your energy, your focus, your stress tolerance. It affects your focus. Now, look at this for a sample. Now, again, I'm an educational doctor, right? I'm not a medical doctor. But certain things that has come up over the years, right? We've diagnosed a lot of kids more and more with ADD, ADHD, right? A lot of that is a result from not moving a lot. Kids nowadays are more so. When I grew up, we was outside all the time. We was moving, we was running. We had recess, we had playground time. I would get to school before school started, and probably because my mom she would have to drop me off, and then she would go to work. So I'd probably be outside, be at work maybe 30 minutes beforehand. A lot of kids would be. We were dropped off before the parents had to go to work, and we'd be outside playing basketball. We'd be outside running around, playing before the school bell would happen. So we'd still be getting exercise. Then we'd go into class. Then we have a break. Then we have lunch. After lunch, we'd go outside for recess. Then we come back in and learn for the rest of the day. So we wasn't sitting and cooped up all day long. I don't think they really realized it. Maybe they did back then. I don't know. But they didn't really realize that what they were doing for us, right? We have children, people have to burn energy. Energy has to be burned. And what happens when you don't burn it, it affects you in certain different ways. It affects your mood, it affects your energy, focus. That's why more and more of these kids that's what the whole thing with ADHD, the focus is not there. Stress tolerance. Can't tolerate stress as much. Oh, remember I talked about the fight or flight mechanism last week. The sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, right? These things are effective. Okay. Now, what does movement do? Movement increases dopamine, serotonin levels, the endorphins, right? Brain-derived neuropathic factors, or BDNF for short. So if you're feeling foggy, irritable, unmotivated, sometimes it's not a mindset issue, it's a movement issue. Have you ever been not feeling like working out and then you actually go to the gym? It's like, man, that felt great. I'm glad I did that. Well, it helps you, right? It helps you so many different ways. It's a movement issue. So we are, unfortunately, like there's so many different things that I believe has been wrong with our health care, or lack thereof over these 20, 30 years, even longer. We're not getting the proper food, nutrition, nutrients, as well as we're not getting proper movement. If we can fix that, and even like I mentioned about mood and irritability, more and more research is coming out telling that's telling you that exercise actually helps with depression. More psychiatrists, psychologists, more people in that field are recommending or prescribing movement along with their treatment. Movement is very serious, people. And the more we get that, the better we will be. Okay. So with that being said, hold tight. I know I just wetting your whistle here with this topic, guys. I hope you didn't fall asleep on me. And I hope you even, when I'm talking, you may be moving around, listen a little bit. But we're going to be right back after these brief messages from our sponsor, Balanced Life Supplements. Guys, it is very important to really get this and understand this, especially if you're younger, but even if you're older. We want to nip this stuff in the bud now. We want to move, right? There's a saying, and I'm going to take you on break on this one. There's a saying out there. We don't stop moving because we get old. We get old because we stop moving. So, with that being said, we're going to be right back on the other side of this break in a few moments with this topic. Be right back.
Stop scrolling at 2 a.m. I used to lie awake replaying every conversation, every mistake, every worry. Then I discovered Mood Balance Plus. This natural supplement does not just mask stress, it supports a balanced stress response. Within weeks, my mind felt quieter, my mood more stable. No more 3 a.m. anxiety spirals or emotional roller coasters. If you are tired of stress controlling your life, try Mood Balance Plus and feel the difference.
Welcome back to a Balanced Life podcast, guys. I'm back in effect in the building, the place to be, here every Friday at 1:00 p.m. Central Time. Check where all podcasts are being broadcast, all right? Or podcasted, whatever you want to say. Anyway, so again, we talked about a lot of different things before the break, right? We talked about how movement or how sitting for a long period of time will affect movement, mood, these type of things, right? And so now what are we going to do, right? We're not about, I'm not a big fan of talking or knowing about something without trying to a solution, right? We need solutions, and that's what I want to do and give you is a solution, right? It's things you can do. Never think there's nothing you can do in any situation, right? There's always something that can be done, right? Unfortunately now, unless you're confined to a wheelchair or what have you, now that's a different story. But even I've seen people in wheelchairs doing pull-ups, right? There's still something you can do, okay? And don't let that any of that stuff stop you, okay? So here's the encouraging news. You don't need to quit your job. Like I said, oh my goodness, I said that a while ago. You don't need to quit your job. You don't need to stand in desk 24/7, even though a standing desk would actually, could be something that you might want to invest in, especially if you're working for a corporation or what have you. Some of these jobs, they'll give you or they'll help you with a standing desk if you request it. But there's always something you can do, right? And you don't need a 2-hour gym session daily. I don't necessarily. I think, like I said, 1 hour, 15 minutes is max for me in my body. But you got to do something, right? So solution number 1, the 35 rule. Okay. So every 30 minutes that you sit, get up and move for 2 to 5 minutes, right? Doesn't matter what it is. It could be walking, it could be stretching. You can squat. There are people that will go stand up at their desk and do some squats. Now, I will say this. I wouldn't do that in the beginning, right? Because you do need some mobility. I wouldn't do that in the beginning, but that is a great thing to do. But again, there's other, the reason why I say that, there's mechanical things as why that might be a problem, right? The amount of sitting that if you've been doing sitting for 4, 5, 6 hours, 8 hours straight, and you get up to squat, you might feel a little bit achy in your knees, right? That's because the hips, the glutes, the IT band, which runs alongside of your leg, and the knees, they all connect. And so sometimes when one thing is really, really tight, it affects the knees. So I'm not saying it's a knee problem. I'm not saying that. Sometimes knee issues are a result from other stuff, right? So quickly, let me break it down. If you heard the song, the knee bone's connected to the tailbone, right? That's the most realest song there is, because everything from the feet all the way up to the head, there's a kinetic chain. There's a chain that goes around, right? And so as if there's something in the feet, the heels, the ankles, if something's affected down there, it could affect and give you pains in your knees, right? So even though squatting is a great thing, and squatting, everybody should be able to squat. If you get up from a 9-hour day of sitting and you squat, you might feel a little achy. Okay, so there's other things you can do. Squatting is a good option, though. So like just a little quick 10 squats, what have you. Calf raises. Calf raises are great. Calves, especially with the amount of sitting if you're really the new smoking type of sitting person. Calves are not getting worked. And your legs all together, the biggest muscle group of your entire body. And so if they're not working, then, it might be helpful, right, to do some movement. So calf raises, march in place. That's a great one. March in place is going to get your heart rate up a little bit. It's going to get you, maybe if you're tired, you can start moving around, right? You don't need that extra cup of coffee. March in place. They'll wake you up a little bit, right? Micro movements restore enzyme activity and circulation. Micro movements restore enzyme activity and circulation. Okay. So what I would say is on that, set your alarm. We all have, well, I'm not wearing a smartwatch today, but we're all wearing smartwatches, we all have our cell phones right here. Mine's charging. Set timers on these things. Give yourself about 30 minutes, set yourself an alarm, and then get up and move around. Okay. Solution number 2, take exercise snacks. Now, what do I mean by exercise snacks? Now, if you think about this, 1 to 3 minutes of 10 body squats, 15 desk push-ups, 1 minute jumping jacks or marching places, and 1 minute of stair walks. That's 1 to 3 minutes. Right? Do that. These short bursts improve glucose control dramatically. Okay. Movement is key. If you're not getting anything from this, movement is key to a lot of different things. So don't neglect movement. Right? A lot of times we want to go to the cure, or go to not even a cure. Go to a so-called solution. Or go to a, I can't even think of what I'm trying to use right now, but so a lot of times we want to go to something else, but it's something simple like this. A little bit of movement. This is simple. We can all do this. Now, if you don't want to do it, that's a whole different story. But if you're really serious about trying to do something with your body, I'm telling you, short bursts improve your glucose control dramatically. Now, solution number 3. So we give you 2 solutions right now. So number 1, you got a 35 rule. Number 2, you got exercise snacks. Number 3, mobility over intensity. I love mobility. You got to do mobility, right? Mobility is going to be great for your hips, especially when your hip flexors are really tight in a seated position. They're going to be great for your feet, your ankles, right? Mobility is great. Most people need mobility more than high intensity interval training. Now, I will never talk bad against high intensity interval training, right? And although even though there's some, and actually my dissertation is on this topic anyway. Maybe one day I'll tell you about it if you're interested. High intensity interval training has been known to help improve things like lung capacity, right? So people that have asthma have actually benefited from doing high intensity interval training. And that is very beneficial. Okay. But again, although how much I love HIIT training, in this particular instance, mobility is going to be better. Okay. So add stuff like hip openers, thoracic rotations, ankle mobility, glute activation. Glute activation, again, is key. I'm sitting on my butt right now. No glute activation is happening. Get you some glute activation. It's going to help restore posture and reduce pain. You saw I got a little taller right there. I'm thinking about posture. I had my knee sit up. Okay. And if you did that, if you sat up when you heard me, or if you sat up and got a strong posture when I just mentioned that, you got to reach out and give me a comment in the comment section. You got to say something to this. Okay. So this restores posture and reduces pain. As we get older, come on, people. As you get older, if you guys are in your 40s and 50s, it's a little achy. You got the little popcorn knees, sound like bubble wrap when you're moving around. Come on, man. Get that mobility in your life. Reduce some of that pain. All right. Solution number four. Nervous system walks. I've talked about nervous system last week. I kind of did in depth on that. Nervous system walks. 10 to 20 minutes walking outside. Just walking. Not power walks, although I love those. Not tracking calories. Just walking. Just walking. You can do that. You put one foot in front of the other and just go walking. Not to the kitchen, not to what have you, right? Not to your girlfriend's house. Just walking. Okay? Now this is going to do so much stuff for you. We talked about cortisol, but it's going to regulate cortisol, right? It's going to improve your HRV, and it's going to clear up mental fog. If you're tired, you're sitting at your desk for a long period of time, and you are starting to fall asleep. You can't think. You can't figure out what you were thinking about doing. You know what? Clear that up. Go for a 10 to 20 minute walk and see what happens. Okay? Solution number 5, sitting strategy. Now, if you must sit, again, I know you might be working in an office setting. You might have to sit. You might not working out, doing construction or working out in the field or what have you. You may not be a farmer, what have you, right? But if you have to sit, if you must sit, change your positions often. Some people might think this is fidgety, but change your positions often. This is going to be helping. Sit on the edge of your chair. Keep your feet flat, right? Be careful not to do anything with your feet across underneath each other. That does put stress on your hips, put stress on your knees. Try and sit straight. Feet straight ahead of you, knees in that same direction. Okay? Engage core lightly. Now, I'm not talking about holding your breath. I'm not talking about doing any vacuums. If you know what vacuums are, you know what I'm talking about. Engage it lightly. So just like I've been doing throughout this conversation, just engage your core lightly. Right? Maybe I wouldn't recommend this all the time, but they have those physio balls, the big balls, the Swiss balls that people made into a little chair. They put it on a little chair that you can sit on. I don't recommend that 100%, but again, if something you can use that's going to help you, okay, maybe it might work, right? But again, the best bet is going to be to stand up. Right, but if you sit as little as possible, okay, and alternate between seated and standing. That's why standing desks are so great, because if I'm tired and my back is bothering me, I could push the button, stand up, and it rise up. I can stand up with it, do my work, boom, 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 right, and then after a while, maybe an hour or two, then I sit back down. Then I get up and I sit up again. Right, stillness is the problem, not sitting itself. Right. Stillness is the problem, not sitting itself. We sit an awful lot. Like I'm not exaggerating about the 10 to 12 hours a day. You just think about it. Think about it. Again, well, we can start at nighttime. how the rotation goes. You've been sitting, not moving for the entire 6, 7, 8 hours, however long you sleep. You've not been moving, right? You get up, you hurry and get ready. For those of you, now I'm not talking about the people that get up and work out before they go to work. I'm just talking about general. So you just been laying around all night long. Then you get up, you get ready for work. You go sit in the car, go drive. Now, depending on where your job is at, sometimes our jobs may be farther than where we live because it's going to be a little bit more money. Let's just say, average, you're sitting at 30 minutes a day driving 30 minutes to work. If you have a sit down job, you go sit down for 8 hours. So again, you got the night before, you got the half an hour in the drive. You got 8 hours at work, right? In the middle of the day, you got lunch. Get up, go to wherever you're going to have lunch at. You sit down, okay? Our lunch might be an hour, could be half an hour, but whatever. But now you're at now you think about it, 8 hours of sitting, plus the half an hour or so in the morning, the hour, half an hour at lunch. Then you have a half an hour coming home. That's about nine or so hours right there. If you do decide to go to the gym, most people aren't going to the gym and doing free weights or doing a class. If you are, I love you. But if most people are not doing that, so maybe you're going to go to the gym and go sit on the machine, right? You go do that for an hour. Then you drive home, and then what's next? Dinner time, and then maybe you might sit down on the couch about a half an hour or so, 30 minutes or so, maybe an hour, depending on how long your show is that you're watching. Maybe you might binge watch. I don't know what you're doing before you go to sleep, but that's not a lot of movement, right? We have to make sure that sitting or stillness is not the priority of the day. Movement is, regardless of what our jobs are. Okay. Now, I gave you some solutions. Now we're going to look at a long-term strategy, right? A long-term strategy to design a movement life. I pray that all of us, every single one of us that live on this earth, moves, right? I just really do. So we're going to talk about a plan to design a movement life. The goal isn't workouts. The goal is movement identity. So I want you to ask yourself, can I walk during calls? Can I park farther? Maybe you have a big parking lot. Maybe you park farther away and walk to the job. Can I do mobility before bed? Man, that'd be great. Or can I do 10 squats every bathroom break? Or 10 calf raises, or 10 marches in place, or 10 desk push-ups, or 10 whatever. Can I do that before break? Now, for those of you who work in corporate settings, many of these companies now have corporate fitness and wellness. Corporate wellness, I believe it is the category it's in. Well, they have outside vendors come in. They run the fitness centers. They do all this type of stuff to help you. They have cafeterias on site where they promote healthy nutrition living in their nutrition, right? Take advantage of those type of things, right? If you have a gym at your job, man, go down to the gym and go move around. Go walk on the treadmill for 10, 15 minutes, what have you. A little bit is always going to help, right? A little bit's always going to help. But just don't do nothing, okay? Movement can be embedded in your life, not scheduled as a punishment. Now, I'm trying not to make this that long, but the one thing that I really wish, and again, this is a different topic for another time. Parents, please do not punish your children with exercise. Please. It makes it so hard. When you do that, you have no idea how hard it makes it to instill healthy habits or movement exercise in later years, because all they think of, they associate with exercise with punishment. So if I were to say anything, please do not do that. It bothers me as somebody that's in this industry, that's somebody that's all believes about health and helps want to help people get healthy and be, have the longevity. When I hear stories about parents punishing their children with exercise, oh, give me these push-ups, give me this, that, and the third. Oh, squat. Oh, you don't do that. Find another way to punish them. Take exercise out of it. All right, that's my soapbox moment for there. All right, so let's wrap this whole thing up. Right, I really hope that you're getting something out of what I'm saying to you. But let's wrap this up, okay? Now, by saying, and I understand why they do that. By saying sitting is the new smoking, it's very dramatic. But listen, we know how dangerous smoking can be. For lots of other reasons other than lack of movement, we know how dangerous smoking can be. It can limit lung function. Many people die from heart disease, cancers. So it's very dangerous, right? And there's even warning labels on the cigarette, right? So I wish that there could be a warning label on your chair saying caution: sitting for prolonged periods of time may cause insulin sensitivity, these, that, and the third. All things I mentioned is all in our chairs that we bought, right? Wouldn't that be something? Now, again, it is dramatic, but again, it's important to understand the real message. Stillness is dangerous. Rigidity, there you go, is costly. 100% motion is medicine, people. Motion is medicine. We don't want extremes. You don't want extremes. This podcast, these topics are not about extremes. Many people, they paint themselves into a corner, and the first thing they want to do is they want to go to an extreme. Oh, I got to lose 150 pounds by next Friday. Look, you're going to fail. That's not possible. You didn't put 150 pounds on in 1 week. You're not going to take it off in 1 week, right? Don't need extremes. This is one of those days an extreme. Okay, I've been sitting for 8 hours a day for the last 10, 15 years. Now I'm going to get up and I'm going to take all the couches out of my house. That's extreme, right? we don't want to live in extremes. We want to try and build long-lasting choices, long-lasting habits in our life that continue over time, that we could pass down to our children, to our children's children, right? We need frequency. Frequency is, look, if you're a musician, if you know how to play an instrument, it was frequency that got you better, unless you're one of those gifted people that can play as soon as you hear something, right? But frequency makes you better, okay? Small, consistent movement will improve insulin sensitivity, if you haven't got that already, support healthy heart health, and enhance your mood. Man, don't you want to be a happy person? Don't you want to have your mood happy? I know I do. I don't like being sad. I don't like being around people that are angry. I don't like being around none of that stuff. It's going to help regulate your mood. It's going to also help regulate your nervous system. Bing, ding, ding, ding. Didn't I just say that? I've been talking about the nervous system for 2 weeks now. Also going to increase longevity. Let's face it. Your body wants to move. Your body's begging you to move. Your body is begging you to move. You know how if you don't understand how important mobility and those type of things are, look at what they're putting. There is stuff out there for everybody. There's really no excuse to not want to move. There's really no excuse to move. If you got classes, you want to run, you can go to join a run club. You want to go do some crazy high intensity interval training classes, they have those. You want to do yoga, they have that. You want to go do Pilates, they have that. You want to go do you want to be stretched, you want to learn and get your stretch and flexibility better. They have places you can go and they'll stretch you for you. They'll stretch you. There's places that they'll stretch you, right? I don't know how to stretch. Okay, fine. Lay down on the table. We'll stretch you. Whatever you want. that's there for you. Now, if you don't want, that's the bottom line. I mean, most people, my clients before would say I'm a little harsh on this. My wife would say that I'm a little harsh on this too. But if you don't want it, fine. You don't want it. I mean, nobody can force you. Like the saying goes, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right. But you can't have it both ways. You can't complain about your health and not do nothing about it. You can't complain about your weight and not do nothing about it. You can't complain and not doing anything about it. That's insanity. So, if you've been working long hours, if you've been feeling stiff, if you're feeling mentally foggy, if you're feeling drained, before assuming something is wrong with you, ask yourself, as I sit up taller, ask yourself, have I moved today? Just take the time and ask that one simple question to yourself, have I moved today? Your nervous system is listening to you. Your metabolism is responding. Your body is adapting. Give it motion. Give it motion. And watch what changes. All right, everybody. With that being said, I thank you for tuning in to this week's podcast. Again, this is Dr. Chris Byles here at A Balanced Life. Really, just I hope that you took this to heart this week, guys. And if there's something that you need, something that reflects to you and it resonates with you, man, please do something about it. Take some time, take some initiative, and make the changes that's necessary. Whatever changes you have to make them. All right? With that being said, guys, till next time, I'll see you next week, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Go there and find A Balanced Life. Till next time, take care, guys. I love you. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to A Balanced Life with your host, Dr. Chris Byles.
Take care of your body, your mind, and your spirit.
Keep moving forward. See you next time.